Good morning. Welcome to day 8. You've made it through a full week of the Being Challenge. Pat yourself on the back. Well, today we continue in our look at community, creating community. I want to tell you a little story that Charles Swindoll posted in one of his books. And it's a story of a spider. The spider built this immaculate web. And any time that a customer, fly or insect, would come into the web, they would immediately go devour it and clean it up so that they never saw any other insects in there, and it would be more attractive for an insect to come and land if there weren't all these corpses hanging all over the place, and just kept an immaculate web. Well, one day a fly was flying by the web, and started to think about landing on the web, and then realized, well, I don't know if I want to do this. And the spider said, well, come on in. We'll have a conversation. Well, I don't know, the fly said. There's nobody else here. Maybe if there were some other people here, I might, but I don't want to be the only one. And so he kind of flew around, and pretty soon he looked down below, and further down the wall, there was this place where there were all these flies, and they were all dancing. And he said, oh, that's great. I'm going to go hang out there where all these flies are hanging out and they're all having a party. And so he flies down, and as he gets closer to land on this strip that's hanging on the wall, a bee flies by and says, don't go there. It's a trap. That's fly paper. You'll get stuck there. And he says, no, look at it. They're all dancing. They're having a great time. I'm going in. And he goes in and lands on the fly paper. And of course, well, we know how the story ends. He dies there on the fly paper. And Chuck Swindoll ends the story with these words. Some of us want to be with the crowd so badly we end up in a mess. What does it profit a fly or a person if he escapes the web only to end up in the glue? Who we keep friends with, peer pressure can be a powerful thing. Today, in day 8, we're going to talk about how community influences you. But there's a two-way street. It can influence you for good or for ill. You can be an influencer in community for good or for ill. And so today, as we take a look at being a part of a community influencer, I want you to ponder how community influences you. In fact, one of the things it begins with on day 8, it says, there is probably no more important predictor of your future than to look at your present community. The friends that we keep shape a lot of our future. We hear that all the time in groups that work within the inner city, trying to help inner city kids find community and connection in something other than perhaps a gang. Trying to find community that can lift you up and excel who you are as a person. So today we're going to be talking about that great influence that community has. And no community is more influential on your life than your family. Family is the most influential community you will ever be a part of. A number of years ago, a large research study was done on adolescent spirituality. It was a long, longitudinal study done over many years with the same kids and following their spiritual development. And parents would come to hear these speakers speak about this study. And there was a question that Christian Smith said he often heard, and that was, are there any predictors of how my child's spiritual life is going to look like 5 years, 10 years down the road from today? And Christian Smith said, well, exactly. Yes. There's a very clear predictor. It's called a mirror. Parents would look and he'd say, your spiritual life impacts your children's spiritual life. If you practice prayer, they will practice prayer. If you are faithful in worship, they will be faithful in worship. If you are part of a growing Christian community, they will value a growing Christian community. It's those things that we model. Why? because there's importance and power and influence that comes from community. Now, I'd love to say that 100% transfers every single time, but it doesn't. In fact, you may have some members of your family who are not exactly a carbon copy of what you showed and modeled for them in the Christian faith. See, there are more factors than this involved in the life of an individual. But don't for a minute think that the influence of community doesn't matter. It does. Well, I've got to finish my coffee. You've got to get on with your day because, after all, it's day 8. You've got some reading to do. Well, enjoy your day, and I'll see you on, day 9. Hey, see, my math skills continue to stay sharp.